Believed my husband over my own son when he said my boy made a move on his stepsister. I kicked him out, blocked his number, and told everyone he was a predator. 3 years later, the truth came out. My husband was the one who hurt her, and my son spent those years living in his car. Now he won't even look at me. I, 45F, married my husband Victor, 47M, about 5 years ago. I have one son from my first marriage, Jasper, who was 18 when all of this happened, and Victor has a daughter, Tracy, who was 17 then. My first marriage ended when Jasper was around 8, his dad left, and it was just me and him for a long time. We were close. He was always a quiet boy, never gave me trouble, helped me around the house, and did well in school. When I met Victor, I thought it was finally my chance to have a real family again. He seemed like a good man, stable, serious, protective. Tracy was polite and shy, and I thought Jasper and her would get along fine. The first few months after we moved in together went okay, but there was some tension. Victor would make little comments about how Jasper had an attitude, or that he needed to learn respect. Jasper was 18, had just graduated high school, and was still figuring things out, so yeah, he could be a bit mouthy sometimes, but never anything bad. Victor didn't like when Jasper would joke around with Tracy. He said it was inappropriate, which I thought was strange because they were just teasing like normal teens, but I brushed it off because I wanted to keep peace in the house. A few weeks later, Victor told me he didn't want Jasper hanging around Tracy too much. He said boys get ideas when girls are around. I told him that was ridiculous. Jasper wouldn't ever do something like that. But Victor was serious. He started getting short with Jasper at dinner, correcting him over small things, and once even said Jasper made Tracy uncomfortable because he was too friendly. I talked to Jasper about it, told him to give her space, and he just looked confused. He said he didn't know what Victor's problem was. Then one night, everything blew up. It was late. I had just finished cleaning up after dinner, and Tracy came into the kitchen crying. She said Jasper tried something earlier that day. She wouldn't give details, just kept saying she didn't feel safe and that she didn't want him in the house anymore. Victor stormed in right after her, furious, saying he caught Jasper lurking around her room. I was in shock. I went straight to Jasper's room to confront him, and he looked terrified. He swore he didn't do anything, that Victor was twisting things, and that Tracy looked scared of Victor, not him. That made me angry because it sounded like he was trying to turn it around on us. I remember yelling at him to stop lying, to take responsibility, to think about what he'd done to that poor girl. He kept denying it, begging me to listen, but I didn't want to hear it. In my mind, I had to protect Tracy. That was my duty as a mother. I told him to pack his things and leave. He tried to talk to me again, but I wouldn't even look at him. I called his father to tell him what happened and that Jasper needed to stay with him from now on. He left that night with just his backpack and some clothes. I blocked his number after he tried calling a few times. I couldn't stand hearing him cry on the phone. I told my family what happened, and of course, word got around fast. Everyone said I did the right thing, that I had to protect the girl. I told myself the same thing every day when I cried in the shower. I thought I was being strong, that I was doing what any good parent would do. The next few months were rough. Victor was angry a lot, said Jasper had tainted the family. Tracy became more withdrawn, barely spoke to me, but I assumed she was just traumatized. I tried to focus on helping her heal. We got her therapy, but she didn't want to talk to anyone. Victor said it was better to let it go, that digging it up again would just hurt her more. So I let it go. But deep down, I missed my son. I would go through his room sometimes and find old drawings, school awards, little things he left behind. Every time I'd break down and then force myself to remember why I did it. I told myself he'd get over it someday, that maybe one day he'd understand I wasn't doing it out of hate. Still, there were things that didn't sit right with me. Victor never let me talk about Jasper again. He would get tense whenever I mentioned his name. Once I said I hoped Jasper was okay, and Victor snapped that I should be worrying about the girl who almost got ruined, not the one who caused it. That was the first time I saw a different side of him, cold, almost cruel. I brushed it off then, thinking it was just anger. I told myself I had to stay strong for Tracy, but sometimes I'd catch her looking at Victor with fear. I'd ask if she was okay, and she'd just nod quickly and leave the room. I told myself she was just uncomfortable because of what happened. I didn't know what else to think. It's been 3 years since that night. I haven't spoken to Jasper. He never reached out again, not to me or anyone in the family. My sister said she saw him once at a gas station, working behind the counter. She said he looked rough, like he'd been living hard. I cried for hours after hearing that. I don't even know where he lives now. I came here because lately I've started having doubts. I don't know why, but I keep thinking about that night. The way Tracy looked when she told me. The way Victor stepped in before she even finished talking. The way Jasper kept saying Victor was lying. It's been eating at me. Everyone says I did what any mother would do, but I keep replaying it in my head and wondering if I was blind. I thought I was protecting my family, but what if I destroyed it instead? Update 1. Back to update because I'm losing my mind here. Some context beforehand. Jasper hasn't spoken to me since that day. I've reached out a few times through my sister and my ex-husband, but he never replied. I don't even know where he lives now. I heard through someone that he dropped out of college his first year and started working odd jobs, but that's all I know. Tracy is in college now too. She's changed a lot since everything happened. She used to be bright and outgoing, always the kind of girl who filled a room with her energy. Now she's quiet, nervous all the time, and barely eats when she comes home for holidays. At first, I thought maybe she was struggling with guilt. I assumed she felt bad for what happened to her brother, which made me mad because she had nothing to feel guilty about. But lately, the way she acts doesn't seem like guilt anymore. It feels like fear. Victor and I, well, we're not doing good. After the whole situation, our marriage started to feel hollow. I thought it was because of the stress and distance from Jasper, but I don't think that's it. He's been different, cold, like everything annoys him. He barely talks to Tracy anymore unless it's to criticize her for something. He drinks more than he used to, too. Sometimes he gets short-tempered over the smallest things. The house doesn't feel like a home anymore. It feels tense all the time. A few months ago, I suggested therapy. I thought maybe we could all talk it through and find closure. Victor shut it down immediately, said it was a waste of money and that we already dealt with it. He told me I needed to stop living in the past and move on, but how am I supposed to move on when it feels like something about that whole time doesn't make sense? The real turning point came 2 weeks ago. Tracy was home for a weekend and we had dinner together. Everything was fine until Victor snapped at her for not answering him fast enough. She froze up in a way that made my stomach drop. It wasn't normal fear. It was like she was terrified. After he went to bed, she sat on the couch shaking. I tried to comfort her, but she wouldn't let me touch her. She said she didn't feel safe here anymore. I didn't sleep that night. I just kept hearing those words in my head that she didn't feel safe. The next day, I went digging through some old boxes in the garage. I don't even know what I was looking for. Maybe just some kind of proof that I hadn't completely ruined my family for nothing. I came across some of Jasper's old things that I never threw out. His notebooks, his school photos, a few birthday cards. I sat there crying because I couldn't remember the last time I heard his voice. Then I found something else, Tracy's old notebook. It was shoved in a plastic bin with old clothes. At first I thought it was just school notes, but when I opened it, I realized it was more like a diary. The handwriting was messy, like she wrote fast or while upset. The first few pages were normal stuff about school, friends, homework. Then I saw an entry dated about a month before everything blew up. She wrote about Victor watching her too closely, about feeling uncomfortable, about how he got angry when she didn't hug him. I almost dropped the notebook. My hands were shaking so bad I could barely turn the page. There were other entries too, ones where she said he was making her lie, that she didn't want to, but he said it was the only way to protect the family. One where she wrote about Jasper begging her to tell the truth, that she couldn't even look at him because she knew she was ruining him. Reading that felt like my chest caved in. I must have read those pages 10 times just trying to make sure I wasn't imagining it. I wanted to believe I was misunderstanding it, that maybe it was some dramatic teenage writing, but the more I read, the clearer it became. She was describing Victor, not Jasper, Victor. I sat there for hours, staring at the wall. I couldn't even cry at first. It felt like someone had ripped the ground out from under me. All this time, I've been telling myself I was protecting Tracy, but I was protecting the man who hurt her. I was the one who threw my own son away to protect him. I didn't know what to do. When Victor got home that night, I tried to act normal, but I could barely look at him. He kept asking why dinner wasn't ready and why I was acting weird. At one point, he looked straight at me and said I was starting to sound just like Jasper. Later that night, when he went to shower, I took the diary and hid it in the trunk of my car. I don't even know why. Maybe I just needed to have proof that I wasn't losing my mind. I've been trying to figure out what to do since then. Update 2. It's been 2 weeks since my last post, and I don't even know how to start this one because everything feels like it's happening all at once. Victor caught me reading Tracy's diary. I tried to act normal. I told him I found it while cleaning the closet, just to see how he'd react. He didn't yell or accuse me of anything, he just stared. He didn't say much after that, just nodded and walked off, but the rest of the night I could feel him watching me. Every time I moved around the house, he'd suddenly be there too. I didn't sleep at all. For a few days, I pretended like everything was fine. I cooked, cleaned, and tried to act like I hadn't just read my daughter's handwriting describing things that made me disgusted. I didn't want to push anything too fast because I was scared he'd find out what all I knew. But I also couldn't sit there and pretend either. Every time he touched me, even just putting his hand on my shoulder, my whole body tensed up. Then Tracy started acting off too. She'd barely come out of her room and jumped every time Victor came near her. I thought maybe she knew I found the diary and was scared about what would happen next. Then one night, I came home from work and she wasn't there. Her phone went straight to voicemail. Victor was sitting on the couch drinking, said she went to stay with a friend, but he wouldn't tell me which one. That's when something in me snapped. I got in my car and started calling everyone I could think of until one of her college friends answered and told me she showed up at their dorm late the night before, crying and saying she couldn't go home because he's acting weird again. I didn't ask who he was because I already knew. The next morning, I drove straight to the dorm to pick her up. She looked pale, exhausted, and just defeated. When she saw me, she didn't even say hi, just started crying. We sat in the car for a long time before she said she didn't feel safe around Victor anymore and that she was tired of pretending. I didn't push her to explain. I just told her we were going to figure it out. I dropped her off at my sister's house and told her to stay there. Then I went home. Victor was in the kitchen acting like nothing had happened. He asked where Tracy was, and I told him she was staying with family. He didn't like that answer. His tone changed. He said she was too emotional lately and that I shouldn't encourage it. That was the first time I realized how much control he thought he still had. Later that night, I packed a few bags quietly and kept my phone hidden in my pocket. I called the police from the car, told them I suspected Victor of hurting my daughter. I didn't know how much evidence they'd need, but I had the diary. That was enough to start. They told me to stay away from the house while they did a welfare check. It all blew up fast after that. The police came that evening and took statements. When they talked to Tracy at my sister's house, she broke down completely. Everything spilled out. She said Victor had been grooming her since she was 16, that he threatened to ruin her and Jasper if she ever told anyone. He made her lie about Jasper to cover up what he was doing. My chest hurt so bad, it felt like I was being crushed. She kept apologizing through sobs, saying she was sorry for lying and that she thought it would stop if she did what he said. I told her she didn't need to be sorry for anything, it was my fault for not seeing it. Victor was arrested that same night. They took his electronics and searched the house. I didn't go back there after that. I stayed with Tracy and my sister. I thought I'd feel relief, but instead, I just felt hollow. The next morning, my phone started blowing up. His family called me every name under the sun, saying I was destroying an innocent man's life, that I was brainwashing my daughter. They said if anything, I should be arrested for false reporting. My own mother told me this was my punishment for turning one child against another. She said I made this mess 3 years ago when I threw Jasper out and told everyone what he'd done. Now that the truth was out, no one wanted to take responsibility. Everyone just wanted to point fingers, and I was the easiest target. I tried to reach Jasper. I really did. I called every number I had for him, but none worked. I asked his old friends, and one said they heard he was still around town working odd jobs, but kept to himself. I left a message with his father, but he said he hadn't heard from Jasper in over a year. I finally tried texting the old number he used to have just in case. I didn't expect anything, but I wrote everything out. I told him the truth about Victor. I told him I was sorry and that I'd do anything to fix it, that I'd help him get justice too if he wanted. I hit send and sat there for hours staring at my phone. Nothing. The next day, I checked again and the message still said delivered. No response. Update 3. It's been almost 2 months since Victor got arrested. The investigation dragged on, and every new thing that came out made me sick. I don't think there's a way to fully put into words what it feels like to realize the person you trusted the most was capable of something that vile and that your own son paid the price for it. The police confirmed enough of what Tracy told them to keep Victor in custody. They pulled his devices and found things no one should ever see. They said there were messages, recordings, and some kind of tracking app he had on Tracy's phone. She didn't even know it was there. I can't explain how it feels hearing the words, "We believe your daughter," when 3 years ago I couldn't do that for my own son. The detectives said the case could take months to build, and they wanted both of us to get therapy, so that's what we've been doing. but none of it feels like enough. I didn't stop looking for Jasper though. I asked around, reached out to people who might have stayed in touch with him. Finally, one of his old friends messaged me and said Jasper had been living out of his car behind a hardware store in another city for a while. He worked there part-time loading supplies and sometimes slept in the back lot. The friend said he's been like that on and off for years. When I read that message, I sat on the bathroom floor for hours just crying. I drove out there last week. I parked across the street from where the friend said he worked. I recognized him right away, even though he looked. He was unloading a truck, and when he saw me, he froze for a second, then turned around and walked the other way. I got out of my car and tried to go after him, but he just got in his car and drove off. I didn't even get a chance to say a word. I stood there shaking, holding the letter Tracy wrote for him. She wrote that letter after her second therapy session. It's several pages long, handwritten, where she tells him the truth about everything. She admitted Victor made her lie, that she was scared and didn't know what else to do. She said she's sorry, and that she knows sorry doesn't fix anything. I think she's been carrying this guilt since the night it happened, and seeing me fall apart hasn't helped her heal either. She told me she doesn't expect Jasper to forgive her, but wanted him to know it wasn't his fault. I still have that letter in my purse. I've tried contacting him again through that friend. I asked if he could just tell Jasper that Tracy and I aren't asking for forgiveness. We just want to see him safe. The friend said Jasper told him to stop giving out information about him. I guess I can't blame him. I destroyed his life once. Why should he trust me now? Victor's lawyer reached out recently. They're saying Tracy's testimony might get challenged because of inconsistencies, and that I influenced her after the fact. It feels like we're about to go through another nightmare all over again. And the worst part? The defense is using my own words, the old police report, and statements I made about Jasper to claim Tracy's memories aren't reliable. They're painting her as confused, and me as unstable and vengeful. It's like my past mistake is coming back to crush her all over again. I told the detective everything I could remember, even things that make me look bad. I don't care about my reputation anymore. I just want the truth to stick. Tracy's been holding it together, but I can see how scared she is. I'm not posting this for sympathy. I know what I deserve. I just needed to get it out somewhere, because the guilt is eating me alive. Final update. It's been a year since everything ended. Victor was found guilty. He's in prison. The sentence was long enough that I'll never have to see his face again, but that doesn't make it better. During the trial, his lawyer dragged everything out from those years: the report I filed against my own son, the family statements, even the text messages where I told people Jasper needed help. They used my words to make Tracy look confused, to twist her story until it sounded like she didn't know what happened. Sitting there listening to them quote things I said about my son made me want to crawl out of my skin. It was brutal for Tracy. She had to relive everything in front of strangers who doubted her. I don't think I've ever seen her so broken. She moved out completely after the verdict. Said she needed to start over somewhere no one knew her name. I helped her pack and tried not to cry in front of her. She said she loves me but can't be around me because it reminds her of everything. I told her I understood, and I do. I lost my job halfway through the trial. They said it was downsizing, but everyone knew it was because of the publicity. People whisper, they always whisper. Some think I was part of it, or that I made the whole story up. A few think Jasper really did something, and I only changed my story to protect him. It doesn't matter what I say. Once people decide who you are, you can't fix it. After Victor's sentencing, I tried reaching out to Jasper again. I sent letters to every address I could find. One came back unopened. Another was signed for, but I never got a reply. I left one with his friend to give to him in person. I told him everything: that Victor was the one who hurt Tracy, that I know I destroyed his life, that I'm not asking for forgiveness, just to tell him he was never what they said he was. The friend said he handed it to him, but Jasper didn't even open it. Just said, "I already know," and walked away. I don't blame him for hating me. I think about what I would have done in his place. Not a day goes by that I don't wish I had just listened that night. Just one more minute to stop and look at my son and see the fear instead of assuming guilt. But life doesn't hand out do-overs. It just keeps moving, with or without you. I guess that's my update.